Wait, stop right there. If you grew up Ogoni, you were warned about this thing before you could even explain why. Never, ever, point at a grave. Not joking. Not as a proverb. Not even as a child playing around. And today, I want to tell you why. Because this wasn't superstition. It wasn't fear for fear's sake. It was a deep cultural role that carried meaning, discipline, and respect far beyond what most people realize. So imagine this. You're walking with elders through the village. You see a burial site. Your finger twitches. Instinctively you want to point and ask, who is buried there? Before your question even lands, someone grabs your wrist. Don't do that. No shouting. No explanation. Just a calm warning, but the message hits hard. In Ogoni land, graves were not landmarks. They were not tourist spots. They were not things you casually referenced with your fingers. A grave was a doorway between worlds. Ogoni people believed the dead were not gone. They had transitioned. They were still present. Still watching. Still listening. So when you pointed at a grave, you weren't pointing at soil. You were pointing at someone's resting spirit. And pointing, in Ogoni culture, was never neutral. Pointing meant accusation. Pointing meant calling attention. Pointing meant confrontation. You didn't point at elders. You didn't point during serious conversations. And you absolutely did not point at the dead. Because to point at a grave was seen as disturbing the peace of the ancestor resting there. There's something else most people miss. Ogoni culture emphasized controlled behavior, especially around powerful things. Words had power. Gestures had power. Silence had power. And death was the most powerful of all. That's why children were trained early. Not with fear. With boundaries. A child who pointed at a grave was quickly corrected, not punished harshly, but redirected. Because the goal wasn't to scare you. The goal was to teach you restraint. If you could control your hand in front of the dead, you could control your mouth in front of the living. Now listen closely to this part. Pointing at graves was also believed to attract attention you didn't want. In Ogoni belief, unnecessary attention, especially spiritual attention, was dangerous. You didn't call spirits casually. You didn't invite questions from the unseen world. Pointing was seen as a call. Almost like saying, I see you. Look at me too. And nobody wanted that kind of attention. Some elders believed it could bring sickness. Others believed it could bring bad dreams. Some said it weakened a person's spirit. But all agreed on one thing. It was disrespectful. And disrespect, in Ogoni worldview, always came with consequences. Not because spirits were wicked, but because order had been broken. Ogoni society was built on balance. The living had their place. The dead had theirs. Graves were not places of fear. They were places of rest. And pointing disrupted that rest. Now here's something deep. The rule wasn't just about graves. It was about how you treated things you didn't fully understand. Ogoni elders believed that wisdom begins when you know where not to cross. You don't poke everything. You don't test everything. You don't demand explanations from everything. Some things deserve quiet respect. That's why instead of pointing, people would gesture with their lips. Or tilt their head. Or simply say, that place. Small actions. Big meaning. Even adults followed this rule. Even leaders. Because no one was bigger than tradition. And no one was above the ancestors. Now let me tell you something that might surprise you. This practice also protected people emotionally. Graves remind you of loss. Of mortality. Of where every human eventually ends. Ogoni culture didn't want people becoming careless with death. Pointing casually made death feel ordinary. And death was never ordinary. It was sacred. It deserved pause. It deserved silence. It deserved humility. So by removing casual gestures like pointing, people were forced to slow down and feel. Feel respect. Feel memory. Feel connection. And that's something modern society has lost. Today, we photograph graves, tag locations, make jokes, walk carelessly through burial grounds. But back then, even your body language mattered. Your hands mattered. Your posture mattered. Because culture lived not just in words, but in movement. One more thing. Pointing at graves was also avoided because it was believed to call death's attention. Not death itself, but its reminder. In Ogoni philosophy, constantly drawing attention to death was believed to shorten joy. You respected it, but you didn't obsess over it. Life was for the living. Death was acknowledged, then left in peace. So the rule wasn't morbid. It was life-affirming. It taught people to live carefully, speak carefully, move carefully. To know that not everything needs to be touched, pointed at, or explained. Some things are better honored quietly. And that's why, till today, many Ogoni elders still correct children instinctively. Not because they are old-fashioned, but because they remember a time when gestures meant something. When respect was physical. When culture lived in the hands as much as the mouth. So the next time someone tells you, Ogoni people never pointed at graves. Now you know. It wasn't fear. It was discipline. It was respect. It was wisdom passed down without textbooks. And honestly, maybe it's something worth remembering.